3d6 down the line.
Okay, that is episode 81 in the books. We are on the forward charging path to episode 100. But the last 20 episodes. Okay, cool. Well done, guys. Tons of info, and we didn't even crack the majority of those books that you ended up finding. But I wanted to get across because I do think it was your even in game, even in world with your characters, the notes about like the things that drew your eye about the actual regalia would have been the first. Would have taken priority. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Wild, great session. Lots of discuss.
Well, I got to agree. It was a great session. I think it just had so much. It was so much fun on every level. We got to do a little bit of fighting. It's always good fun to do that a little bit of delving, a little bit of exploration, and then this huge treasure trove of in-world, lore dumping. That's just right there. I don't think we got into it too deep. I think it was like just the right amount for what we were doing there. Just I'm really happy with that. It was so much fun.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. The only trick is how the hell are we going to get out of here? That's the thing that keeps.
We're fine.
No, we're not fine, David. I'm looking at the map that you drew, and thank you for mapping tonight. And I was so hoping that secret door that we just found at that northern end of that hallway. I mean, I'm glad it's the guys' quarters. Got some really cool stuff in there, I'm sure. But I was really hoping it was just going to pop out into the pyramid room with the.
Don't speak too soon. Did you walk into the room and look at that western wall with the circlet? I don't think you did, and it would certainly align with the pyramid. It'd be a great location. I don't know that it is, but it'd be a great location for a passage.
I don't know about you, man, but I wouldn't want to have a secret room in my bedroom that leads to a teleportation room.
Yeah, I can be wrong. Yeah, but I totally hear you. Getting out.
No, go ahead, David.
I'm just agreeing with Mike. Yeah, getting out will be a challenge. But it won't, because we're going to just go scorched earth and finally kill Garrelad on our way out, right? Like, it's fine, guys. It's fine. Every time we've tried, it's been successful. It can only be successful this time.
I will across one of the big monkeys. I'm gonna monster charm, mass charm that bad boy, and then maybe he can get us out, right?
I will say this: there have been exceedingly few times in our Arden adventures where we have knowingly sought out a fight and came and have emerged relatively unscathed. The zombies were one. I don't think Garrelad's going to be one. I just don't think, every time we've gone looking for trouble where we knew that it was going to be bad, it was in fact very, very bad.
True.
No, I agree. And the thing is, I am sure, we know at some point, we've discussed this a lot, right? That this floor and a more easy access to things in the God Phone is something we want. But having tapped the secret library, the immediate pressing, as far as we're aware, value that we could get out of continuing to harass Garrelad has reduced a good bit. So it's bought us some time, I think, to be smart, like you said. But I would still kill him if I could.
Be honest, though, one thing that is actually kind of interesting here tactically is that this is now our fourth way. If we were to leave the carpet here permanently, right, behind a door that they don't know about, that they can't get to as far as we know, we would have essentially 4 different egresses into Monkey Town where we could strike at Garrelad. And this one is right by his quarters. So if we had some way to basically, if we leave the carpet here, and I'm not advocating this, but I'm just spitballing, you leave the carpet here, go back to our stash, go hire some hard-hitting, pipe-wielding medieval dudes to come down here with us and just mob Garrelad, man. We could come in the middle of the night, beat his ass, get back to Laryl's cloak, head back into this room, and then teleport out, and they'd never even know where we came from.
I agree with the caveat. I'm a fire portal boy. We can do that with the fire portal. And in fact, we can do it straight to his bedroom with all of those mooks. So the rug is, I think, a very useful escape mechanism, but I don't think it serves a better functionality than the fire portal in anything in which we have explicit knowledge. Speaking of, not to derail us too much from Plungertown, we have so much specific information about the regalia now. We could theoretically just say it would be very dangerous, right? But we know the spear is probably dangerous because the person with the spear is most likely corporeal or whatever.
And guarding it,
and guarding it and maybe underwater. But the tablet or the bone ring, whatever, it's a risk. But we could theoretically say, take us to the room in which this thing exists. It's a huge risk. So I'm not saying we should, but I'm just mentioning it as to double down on a point we've talked about before, which is that information is our keys. And in this sense, information with the fire portal is literally a key. And so the secret library becomes a master key in a way, a very dangerous one, but a master key to a lot of things. Go ahead.
The addendum to that, I was going to say, outside of like each one of these things having a guardian that is prohibitively dangerous, is that we've never actually had one person try to use the portal twice successfully. I think you tried to do it once, and it was like basically like no joy, right? Didn't you try that a second time? And then the theory is
session, we tried
it you can't do it within 24 hours, or can you never do it again?
This is a big question that we've debated a lot. It becomes a
we'll know
kind of a
tomorrow.
game design question. Well, we'll know. I think we'll find out. I'm of the opinion that both. We know that it originally went to the City of Brass, right, and that was like a house ruling. But within the logic of the original module, if it was once per person forever, that would make sense because it would continually to be a transit option to City of Brass. From a meta game design perspective, that means I could continue to roll new characters and just, So at a certain point, I don't know if the limitation matters at which, that's what I'm saying. Like I could always have a new character who went. So then when you start arbitrating against that, like the barrier defeats the existence of the thing at a certain point. Well, once we're doing that, then we shouldn't even use it at all, kind of thing. So I suspect we can use it, but I don't know. I'm not trying to fish for John either.
No, but you brought up a good point in that John House ruled that it could go basically anywhere that you wanted rather than just to the City of Brass. And I'm wondering, John, and you can tell us, or you can just use this in your super secret channel. Are you having any buyer's remorse on that?
No.
No, you're totally fine. We could just keep pinging around, and
you don't know the limitations yet. You haven't tested all the permutations.
Right. We also don't know how good cleanse might be, or how horrible cleanse might be.
Yeah, I think it immolates us.
None of us a lot about the fire portal you don't know. The only thing you kind of know is that if someone has already chosen transport, at least during the same day, you can't do it again. Right. So that's kind of like the only experiment that you've kind of done, really.
Absolutely. And I think we have to continue doing so. And this is, again, a bit tangential, but Matt and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I just think it's worth mentioning, although it didn't end up being a death trap on the other side of the glyph. But like a great example of these sorts of conversations yielding a lot of fruit is Matt and Mike and I talking about how and where we wanted to teleport to, and whether one thing would be dangerous or not, right? So like our discussion to go straight to the secret library rather than on the other side of the glyph door turned out not to be a dangerous one. But initially we're like, oh, fuck, thank God. You know what I mean? We decided that because maybe it is a trap and maybe we would have died. But it's not something that intuition, theoretically, but like it's not really something that could have occurred to any of us without sort of like the dialect or the conversation we're engaging in. Like that's the creative engine that even gives us the context to engage with that thought process.
It works sort of like a wish.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to be careful in the way that you word things, because bad shit could happen. So on that note, there are a few things about the library that you guys should be aware of. If you, maybe you already are, but you just haven't voiced them. But one is that the works that you picked up here, just by the titles and some of the stuff that you saw, there's a stark difference between the subject matter that was kept here versus what was kept in the normal Library of Thoth, which also had a lot of valuable stuff. But it should be evident to you that here in this library were the deep secrets, like the great blasphemies and heresies to the church. The kind of things that the forbidden texts that they wouldn't want anyone else to ever see, right? So much so that they went to the effort of digging out a completely separate chamber to house this stuff. So like the Library of Thoth is almost like a decoy, even though it was, the main one. So be aware. And then the other thing that you, I don't know if it occurred to you when it happened, but you, in previous sessions, you were, after the fight with Nefret, you were extremely worried that Nefret was going to be there. That this place was her goal. So you're going to have to kind of mull that over in your mind. She was not here, right? There's no evidence that she was here. So based upon the amount of time that has spanned since you've last saw her, what is going on there? Were you just fast enough and maybe she's on her way? Or is she busy doing something else, right? And if she's busy doing something else, what is more important than getting to the secret Library of Thoth, which is what you guys remember? She gave you no indication of that, but you guys had surmised that this was most likely the first place she would go.
I have a suspicion, just a suspicion, that because we have split letters purportedly authored from the same person, the thing that's being telegraphed there is that he refused her. His name was Holden or something like that. Was it?
Hellas.
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 He's the dead guy that we're looking at right now.
Yeah. Hellas said no. Potentially, what potentially occurred then is Nefret was like, I don't take no for an answer, and got whatever the fuck she wanted and left what she didn't need out of that library, and then authored a new letter, making it appear as if she never got it and that it's still in the library. And I think that's why that's on her tomb. I think she got whatever she needed, but possibly, right? The other version is we got here too soon. But I think there's a high likelihood if there's like a split narrative here that she got what she wanted and she covered her tracks by making it look like she was refused, but not in a way that implied culpability with his death or any tension, because he's like, oh, sorry, our followers, I just can't do it. Things are too chaotic right now, rather than like, fuck you, no. Right. In other words, in that letter has been erased the idea that she's engaging in necromancy. Right. So whether she got what she wanted or not, she's clearly covering her tracks, I think, with that fake second letter. Or the first letter we got, I think, is a fake letter. You
had put out a theory before, which I thought was super interesting and probably pretty likely, in that she used the circlet, which he references in the letter that we just found, to charm him into saying, yes, I will provide you with what you need. Mm-hmm. And what she needed was some way to ensure her immortality necromantically, which we know she has succeeded, right? She's done that. So I think you're kind of like right, but I think the first theory that you proposed was better. First, he was like, fuck yourself. And then she was like, and then he's like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then he figured out some way to get it to her. And then she became like a super mummy,
Here's what's weird. What's weird to me, though, like if she worked so hard to, become a lich and stuff, why would she be stuck inside her tomb? Like, why would she wait? Like, if you're a lich, you get to go do stuff. You get to go like make zombies and, rule the world and all the evil lich stuff. Why be stuck? And it didn't seem like she was stuck. We didn't like break any kind of special seal or anything. We just lifted the lid off and she came out and killed us. There wasn't anything special about that. So why was she stuck in there like that instead of wandering around freely? Like we opened the door, sure, but we didn't do anything that special.
Well, one clue is that you're jumping to a conclusion that that she's a lich, or that she desired to become a lich.
I think we're using it colloquially. I don't know that lich is the word, but yeah. Good to
super mummy too. So yeah.
Super mummy's good. I like that.
I don't know. So, I was really hoping that, because one of the reasons why when we were fighting her, I was like, let's go smash all of her like canopic jars, is I was hoping that something like that would be some sort of phylactery, but that was not the case.
Here's my another theory to throw out there. I'll be very brief. We mentioned a couple times about the turtle being big, whether that's true or not, but we very clearly have indications that the Arcanum both drove Hellas mad and maybe killed him, radiated his bones, essentially. One might say drew from him his sanity. The circlet draws from you something. Right. It's very possible that all of the regalia is of Arcanum in some capacity, and their wielders are drawn from, and therefore, no matter what aspiration they may have for infinite power and life, eventually the Arcanum subsumes them. Right. And so if she would give away the power of that circlet, it might be that would yield that. I don't know. Right. There's a lot of things there, but I think there's something to explore in that relationship.
And it's a known. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, you go ahead, John.
Just bouncing off the Arcanum thing real quick, that it is a known fact, like everyone knows this, that the reason the Arden Bull was founded, I think I've told you this before, is because of the Arcanum. Yeah, it was found naturally only in this location, and the Arcantians desired it greatly. That's although you now have evidence that the Arcantians were by far not the very first intelligent species to inhabit this area, right? So it appears that is it a coincidence, for instance, that Arcanum, why the Arcantians came, because the Arcanum was valuable to the Collegia and the power of the Empire and all that sort of stuff. But is it a coincidence that the other sentient races that were here before the Arcantians came had a tie to the Arcanum as well? Or was that just happen to be coincidence? Why are the older races, why were they here first?
Yeah.
I wonder if
I keep doing the turtles.
I wonder if the Great Chasm is just the mine of them finding the Arcanum. Like maybe the chasm. We've had so many theories about what caused the chasm, et cetera, but maybe that's just them digging it out. But then where were they able to put all that shit? Where would all the rock go and all the rest of that? You can't just dig and not make piles of shit.
I don't know. I'm very curious. And again, we may have already covered this, John. Apologies, but yeah, we know the Arcanum's been here prior to, or was why Ardenville was founded. We don't, I think, have a timeline in any clear way of the spaceships, outer space aspect as it relates to Arcanum, whether they are related, whether one precedes the other.
No,
but
chronology wise. The only thing you know, and I would have to look up the date myself, but you know clearly the dates of major Arcantian parts, the Arcantian history, when they first arrived and when they left and all that sort of stuff. But anything before that, you have no idea.
Yeah. I do wonder if there isn't a bit. I mean, I'm so fixated now on our turtle. If there isn't a bit of a radioactive spider or teenage mutant ninja turtles aspect to some of the intelligent quote unquote monster races in Ardenville and their exposure and various forms of exposure to it. I don't know, man.
Mutant. We got mutant monkeys. We got Gamera down in the
whole
basement.
Thing. So I think the Arcanum is involved in all of that. The question is, the Arcanum in humans seems to debilitate over time, and it seems to perhaps amplify if the apes were quote unquote animals before sentient, although that's fraud. But you know what I mean? I don't know. That's a really
you still curious... have Arcanum on you, Bjorn?
I do not. We expended the Arcanum we got in the Plungertown chamber near the God Fountain.
Okay.
Now, I'm about to get some. No, but I'm going to swallow it whole and find out.
We need to.
If we were wondering what.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
I was just going to say, if we were wondering what might wake up Hellas, I would imagine fiddling with the giant orb of Arcanum probably might be something that's like a trigger.
I think we crush his head and then we play with everything. Let's just warhammer his face.
I think we should check for the phalanges on his toes and fingers for sure. which I didn't do. But I think we have to inspect the body and see if there's any correlation with the diagram we saw in the bone.
First priority should be: is there a cool hat to take?
Well, cool hats. Cool hats are the only reason to play D&D. I'll stand by it forever. This will be a common theme for many months to come. But yes, of
Absolutely.
course.
What about the teleportation circle things? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that's going to be great. Find out what those are. Here's a question that's come up while we were going through this and we were looking through the hallway. Like, I know that with the true seeing that the circlet is giving Lothar right now, he can see magic, he can see secrets. How does it also give like X-ray vision? I don't know if we've experimented enough. Like, if there's like you're walking down the hallway, there's a secret door in the stone right over there. Oh, you can see that. Mm-hmm. What if you just hang a rug over that? Like, can you see? Would it radiate through that, or would we even know? Like, I don't think we've done that kind of experimentation. Or would that just become obvious with the true seeing? Can a mundane thing block true seeing?
No,
this is something.
No, it's sort of like if you're. It doesn't detail that specifically, but the way I would rule it is sort of like if you're in a room and there happens to be a secret door in that chamber or in a hallway, then you're going to spot it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Something that I was curious about that I had a similar thread of thought, though it wasn't the case in here, but was whether it would like spot switches, right? Not the door itself, but the trigger mechanisms that secrets are attached to, and it doesn't, right? Yeah. So there's a possibility that we shouldn't take for granted the concept that there may be switches in which the result of that lever does not exist in the room we're in, and we should still be cautiously searching for those things.
Yeah,
and not just assume at face value that the secret door is going to be adjacent.
That's a very good smart point.
The best example of that is like when we thought that moving the arms of the statues in like the debauch room and stuff like that opens something else up elsewhere. Right. I don't think the true seeing impacts that whatsoever.
That's a good point, Mike, especially for the debauch reveal that you got. The fact that there is a secret door underneath the statue. Right, like you guys have surmised. I'm not going to say whether or not you surmised correctly or not, but that there are that there are numerous statues that require moving of the arms in a certain fashion. But you were able to see with the true seeing, even though you weren't able to tell what specifically you were supposed to do with arms, if anything. You did determine that there was actually a secret door underneath that statue, right? Yeah. So that's actually like a really good point.
I actually think that in that particular case, I think it's tied to the stone chest. I think Ted said this earlier. You put something in it that it wants or that the cult of Thoth values, and then sacrifice it in some way, shape, or form to get whatever it is, whatever the giant bingo machine is, the slot machine.
Mm-hmm. What if I put never mind.
Well, we know that the goblins we know the goblins tried putting a set symbol in there. Didn't they do that?
And we tried a Thoth symbol. Like when they put the set symbol in there, it exploded and fireballed them. When we put the Thoth symbol in there, it didn't do anything.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, the teleport circle things, John, you didn't give us any like names to go along with those addresses that we found.
That's correct. Yeah, it's just the sequences of tiles.
Oh well, that's less exciting.
I mean, in the books, are those names there? Like if we read those books carefully and like when we study and go through these in session or whatever,
like this circle takes you to Bob's Bait and Fish.
You will have to find out when you're able to get see. So you transported the books, so that may end up biting you in the butt because you left your books, right? Like you've got to you can go right back to them, but of course then you're leaving the rug behind. Now you have a little bit of a problem because you all this treasure that you found you can't really access unless you find a way back.
True, but that means that we even if worst case scenario we have to leave the rug here, we can always come back here and be in the same situation where we are right now.
True, that's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So we have with go ahead, John.
The very specific situation of leaving the rug here is that you are supposing you have surmised that Nefret has an aim to get to here, right?
Yeah, and so, she might want it. Yeah.
You know,
and she's seen it. Well, no, she has seen it used. No, wait, no. She wasn't there when we used it.
She wasn't
I
there.
have an insane idea, guys. John, you don't need to answer permissively. That's something we'd have to think over. We know for a fact that we know with some confidence that the chamber for the teleportation pyramid is 5 to 8 feet away from our secret hall, and we have a rug. We could cast silence and bring mooks down and pickaxe the ever-living shit out of that wall and excavate to the other side and never even exit this room.
Yes.
It's a thought. You know what I mean? Like, again, that doesn't mean John thinks that's okay. I'm not saying that's something we are allowed to do, but it's an interesting, and with the silence, it wouldn't bring attention, right? So we wouldn't risk like all the clattering getting anyone, because the radius of the silence would breach both sides of that juncture.
True, but then there'd be a hole in the wall in the pyramid room for anyone actually in there to see.
Yes, but we know that they don't really go in there. But we could also, what you need, we could build our own secret door. But anyway, that's the point. Is like if our concern in the immediate, right, is not raising alarms that we made it in this library, right? 10 people with pickaxes and a silence spell on a couple hours might be the best way to leave. And even if there's rubble behind, well, so be it. The point isn't that it matters whether they get in there anymore, because once we've drained it of what we need, we've drained it of what we needed, right? Like, more reasons to piss off Garrett too. I don't know. I like it. I like it.
Interesting thought. I'll let you guys mull on it.